In this video, we're going to go through example 3 of our for loop examples. We're going to be writing a function with the header b equals maxdim of a comma dim that will output a vector b that contains either this or this. If dim is equal to 1, the output b will contain the maximum value in each column of the input array, just like example 2. However, if dim is equal to 2, b will contain the maximum value in each row of the input array A. So if dim is equal to 2, and this is our input, we're going to find the maximum of this row, 9, maximum of this row, 7, maximum of this row, 8, and maximum of this row, 10. And we're going to output it in a column like this. So luckily for us, we've already done the beginning part. We just need to add this stipulation that says only do this if dim is equal to 1. So let's head to MATLAB and get started. Starting with my header line for my function. So if dim equals 1, find max of the columns. And then if dim equals 2, find max of the rows. So let's write that if statement. So if dim is equal to 1, we're going to do one thing. Else if dim is equal to 2, we're going to do something else. Let's add an else. If somebody enters something other than 1 or 2 for dim, let's toss them an error to help them out. Instead of our function just telling them nothing and they don't know why it's not working, let's instead say dim must, or you could say value for dim must be either 1 or 2. End. Okay, so if dim is equal to 1, we essentially want to do exactly what we just did in our previous example. We want to well, let's maybe find the size beforehand, because I think that's going to be helpful in both sections. And then we're going to take what we have already done. So if dim is equal to 1, we're going to pre-allocate b to be a row. And then we're going to go through our for loop and fill in b. So let's do Control A, Control I to nicely format that. So this b and 4 are inside this if statement. So else if dim is equal to 2, then b, looking back at our example, b is going to have 1 column and the same number of rows of A. So let's start by pre-allocating b. Let's say b equals not a number times 1s. We want the same number of rows as A and 1 column. So this is R by 1. Next, instead of going through each column, so from 1 to C, here we want to go through each row and find the max. So we want to say for, I don't know, I equals 1 to R. So for I equals 1 to R, we want to find the maximum of the column I. So let's say find maximum of column I of A. And then we want, oh, not column, I said row, and then I was copying this and wrote the wrong thing. Okay, find the maximum of the row I of A, and we're going to store that in the ith index of B. And because we have already pre-allocated B to be the correct size, we can use just one index. We can say B of I here. Or we could say B ith row first column. Just like up here, we could say B of I, or we could say, B of J, or we could say B of first row, jth column. Either one of those will work. And down here, if we had not pre-allocated B beforehand, just using this would create a row, and then our output would be in a row and not a column like we want it. So we would probably want to use this one. But because we have already built B, or kind of the skeleton of B that we need to fill in, we can just use this one here. So I'm going to say B of I. So store in the ith index of B. What do we want to put there? We want to put the maximum of the ith row of A. So maximum of A, we want, looking back at our example, if we're doing this row, that is the first row and all the columns, the first, second, third column. This one here, third row, all the columns, first, second, third column. So max of the ith row, all the columns. Or we could say max of A, ith row, column 1 through C. That would also work, because going from the first to the last row, going from the first to the last column, this is why I should wait to wake up a little bit before I film these videos. Sorry. Going from the first through the last column is the same as doing all the columns. So you have options here, how you can do this. You could also have done this with possibly 2 separate if statements. So you could have said, if dim equals 1, do this, end. If dim equals 2, do this, end. If dim is not equal to 1 and dim is not equal to 2, do this, end. So there's multiple ways to do these problems. Just because your answer doesn't match mine doesn't mean it's not right, but let's check and make sure that it is right. So remember, our A array is this. Let's do max dim of A, comma 2. So that should find exactly what we just had found in the previous one. Oh my God, no. 2 is rows. So 2 is, yes, going to find the maximum of this row, 5, the maximum of this row, 8, and the maximum of this row, 30. And let's check that it works for our other example, the columns. So 10, 8, 30, 7, 8. 10, 8, 30, 7, 8. Looks like it works.